Hey, it's me, MLB. Here's chapter 12 of Pinpoint. This one is titled A Wanted Hero. I will be right there, ma'am. Please remain calm, he said as he hung up the phone and apologised to a very confused Mrs. Kichona. Then he turned and took off running out the door. It didn't take Shoto very long to get to the Linsu shop front, and he raced inside, eyes darting left and right for the elderly lady that he had met the other day at the scene of the robbery. He located her quickly. She was sobbing uncontrollably on the bottom step of the staircase. Shoto rushed towards her. "Ma'am, are you okay?" he asked, looking over her for signs of an attack. He placed his hand gently on her shoulder and knelt down in front of her. "What happened? Please take some deep breaths and calm yourself. I am here now. Everything's going to be okay." Am I saying this to calm myself or her? He thought, as his heart threw panicked beats against the inside of his chest. She controlled her sobs and looked up at him, tears still streaming down her face. I was upstairs and I heard her talking to someone," she sniffed heavily. "Then I thought I heard her scream, but it was muffled, and when I came downstairs she was... She couldn't finish her sentence because her bottom lip was quivering so much. Then she dissolved into tears again. "It's okay, ma'am," Shoto said, a stern yet concerned look on his face. "Did you hear what she said to the person?" "She sounded happy," your grandma said, thinking hard. "I thought she said something like, 'Welcome back.'" Shoto hummed in reply and thought for a moment. So she must have known, or at least recognised the person that took her. "Ma'am, I need to ask you a few more questions about Yin." His voice caught in his throat. "Is her quirk the ability to be able to create gems by singing?" Your grandma nodded. "Yes, it is." She looked at Shoto curiously. His eyes widened slightly at her response. Is her birthday in January?" he asked in a strained voice, only just barely able to conceal his true emotions. "Yes, it is." Your grandma's curiosity was well and truly piqued by now. "Do you know my granddaughter?" "It's her," Shoto whispered excitedly, his excitement tinged with a bitter realization of her disappearance. "Mr. Shoto, sir, I'm not sure what's going on, but how do you know this information about Yin?" your grandma asked suspiciously. "It's because he's a prime suspect in this case," a loud voice said suddenly from the shop door. Shoto and your grandma looked up towards the voice. It was the inspector. "Sir?" Shoto asked, shocked. He stood and faced the inspector. "You've been acting mighty strange, Shoto, and I'm not sure I can trust you with this case. What do you want with Yin and her quirk?" the inspector said, raising his gun at Shoto. Shoto immediately put his hands up in surrender. "Inspector," he said firmly, "what is the meaning of this?" "You've been looking for a certain gem quirk wielder for a while now. Your interest in gems has been going on for years. Who are you working for, and where is Yin?" the inspector asked sharply, taking a step forward with his gun cocked. "You have this all wrong," Shoto said, his voice darkening. He slid one leg back and adopted a fight stance. "You are coming with me," the inspector said, walking forward, one hand reaching for his handcuffs. Shoto quickly dropped his right arm out in front of himself and shot ice from his palm, freezing the inspector's gun and arm. He turned his attention to your grandmother, who was still sitting there looking very bewildered. "I will find her, and I will bring her back, ma'am. You have my word," he said quickly. "Arrest him!" the inspector yelled to his men. Shoto spun and jumped over the counter, ducking out the workshop door and making a run for it out the back. The police broke into groups, one group circling around the back while the other group pursued Shoto through the workshop. He was too quick, though, and lost them immediately as he disappeared into the bush. "Do you seriously believe that kind young hero is involved in this?" your grandma asked the inspector as soon as the men had chased Shoto out. The inspector sighed. "Honestly, I don't want to believe it, but there's overwhelming evidence stacked against him at this point," he said with a sad expression on his face. "I don't think he means any harm," your grandma said. "I've been around for a while now, and I'd like to think that I'm a good judge of someone's character. He doesn't strike me as a shady person." "Me neither," the inspector said, "but for now we must be careful. Someone's life could be on the line." Your grandma nodded glumly. "Ma'am, may I ask a few details regarding your granddaughter's disappearance?" Shoto kept running, somewhere in the mountains. He took off blindly into the bush, his mind swirling with a million thoughts. "It's her. But where is she now? Is she okay? Why am I a suspect? How do I rescue her without getting arrested at the same time? Who can I turn to for help?" He slowed his steps slightly and listened behind him for sounds of followers. It was silent. He stopped and crouched behind a rock. The tranquility of the bush calmed his senses, and he gently lowered himself onto the cool earth, planning his next move. Yaoyorozu. Maybe I can ask her for assistance. He pulled his phone out and dialed her number. And there ends chapter 12. Stay tuned for chapter 13.